Thank you all so much for joining us today. My name is Michelle Morris. I'm from Consolidated Planning Group. I have a few little details to go over as everybody's coming in, and then we'll get started. Chelsea will take over at that point. So we are in webinar mode, and that means that we cannot hear you or see you. But we know you're out there because we can see the number of participants, and we really do appreciate each and every one of you for being here with us today. If you have any questions or comments, if you would please put those in the chat box, we can get to as many of those as possible. So yes, we can get to as many of your questions as possible. If we kind of skip your question or it seems like we're not getting to it, please be assured that that means that we're either going to get to it, in the next couple of slides, but we do see you there. Chelsea, are you in? Are you here with us?
I am. The only problem is I'm on my computer and my phone, but I'm waiting to be let in on the computer. Do you see me on there?
No, so far it's just letting everybody in, and it doesn't show that there's a panelist waiting or anything like that.
Because you've been invited as a panelist for the importance. Check your email. Oh, check my email. Okay.
All right. I'll go ahead and continue while you get that under control. So yeah, we know you're out there. Please put your questions and comments in the chat box. If you are listening on our podcast, you can email us, contact@cpgcares.net, and we'd be happy to send you a copy of today's slides. We will send a recording and all of these slides to you after the webinar is finished today. So anybody who registered, the email address that you registered with, will send it there. All right. So a few quick things about Consolidated Planning Group. We are a holistic financial planning firm. We're located just outside of Houston in the Sugar Land, Texas area, but we serve clients all throughout the United States, mainly all throughout Texas, but we have many clients in other states as well. We have over 30 years of experience with insurance and securities. We are members of the $1 Million Roundtable, fully licensed in insurance and securities. But more importantly, we are members of the Special Needs Planning Academy, and we're nationally certified as Social Security advisors. We help families. They come to us for things like protection plans for their families, lifetime care plans, and thinking about the cost of care for the future for their loved ones with special needs. Planning for that transitional period, moving from being a minor to being an adult and all the different changes that happen at that point with the regulations and the laws. We help with ABLE accounts. And of course, we're here to advocate and to educate families like yours because we've been through this and we know how confusing and how difficult it is. So we're here to help you kind of filter out some of the noise and focus on what's really important for you and your family. There are over 263,000 financial advisors across the United States, 263,000. And out of those, fewer than 200, not 200,000, just 200 period, focus on special needs planning like we do. That is fewer than 0.1% of all of these financial advisors that focus on special needs planning. So you are definitely in the right place when you are here with us. We love doing these webinars to be able to spread information. We think it's really important that you develop a special care plan earlier rather than later so that you can make more of an impact on your life by planning ahead. we want you to be able to sleep at night and not to be always worried about who's going to take care of your child when you no longer can. So if you look at residential options, educational options, vocational options for what's going to happen after high school, you'll be able to sleep a little better having these things planned out ahead of time. There could be waiting lists, so make sure that you do your homework early, just in case there's a waiting list for some of your favorite options. Also, make careful considerations before you just say, oh, Jacob's older sister is going to take care of him when I'm gone. Well, maybe Jacob's older sister at that point is going to have her own things going on, and she might feel a little bit resentful that she has to take care of her little brother. And obligated. It's like an obligatory relationship. And Jacob might feel a little bit resentful towards his sister because all this time they've had a sibling relationship, and now all of a sudden she's going into the role of caregiver, and Jacob might not like that so much. So think long and hard before you just say a sibling is going to be that caregiver. So without any further ado, we've got Chelsea. We're going to make sure everything is looking great. Chelsea Nguyen is going to talk to us about the importance of making a great first impression. We do have some great videos within this presentation, so I might be flipping back and forth a little bit. So bear with me on that because I'm sure it's user error if anything goes wrong. But Chelsea, if you're ready, you can take it away.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate being invited here and excited to start. I personally don't see myself on the screen. I don't know if you can.
Oh, yes, we see you. You might
Oh,
just
okay.
need to change your settings, show up at the top of like where my face is. There's little settings there. You might need to change that to see yourself, but we see you, so go right ahead.
Okay. All right, great, wonderful. So am I looking directly at you right now, like
Yep.
this? Okay, good. So you're actually coming off of my phone instead of my computer like I hoped, but that's okay. All righty. So
Oh, Chelsea, you're muted.
how about now? Can you hear me now?
There you go. Perfect.
Okay, wonderful. So today's session is the importance of a great first impression, as you mentioned earlier. And let me know, is there a certain time we need to be stopping in order to open the floor for questions?
Hopefully we'll get some questions as we go. We finished today at 1, and I need about at least 5 minutes at the end to get through the rest of the slides about consolidated planning group.
Great. So could you just kind of give me a little bit of a cue beforehand to let me know when it's almost close to the end? Wonderful. Thank you so much. Who am I and what earns me the right to really be here with you all today? I really appreciate you all spending your time of all the places as you could be spending your Monday. I appreciate your spending it with me. So first off, that I am an image consultant and a paraprofessional as well. I've been working with individuals with disabilities for over 10, I think 12 years now. And I'm here in Houston, Texas. However, I work and I teach and I travel not only online all over the world to work with parents, individuals with disabilities of all ages, from youth, very young children to adults with who are blind, visually impaired, disabled, and it's really an amazing career that I've really have an honor in being in. And I have a bachelor's degree in business management. I'm a mother of 2 young men who are both 26 and 24. So they have themselves gone through a lot of the process of learning how to get ready for job interviews, learning how to go out into the world of work and things like that. And my older son actually was diagnosed with bone cancer 2 years ago. And so even though he doesn't have any physical disabilities right now, he did have that for about a period of a year, 2 years when he was undergoing chemo treatments and his bone cancer. So I do understand what it's like to have a child with disabilities. My younger son also has ADD, and so we deal with that sometimes. We deal with that as well. So I can't say that I understand exactly what you go through with your children if you are a parent or a teacher or paraprofessional with all of your individual students, but I do have some experience with that. So that's where I feel like I can relate and understand some of the struggles that you all may be going through, and how to help get past that in order to help our students, our children, our young adults become more independent as they continue on, growing and becoming more, getting older. So um, another thing that I do want to share, I think that's basically it. The name of my company is Vision Image Consulting, and there is a link to it later on if you like, once we share these slides with you. So next slide, please. Thank you. So my very first icebreaker and question for you all is, why do you think first impressions are important? And I know that I can't necessarily hear everybody. That would just be hard, but please put it into the chat. And then we can have Michelle read it to you. Okay, is that right, Michelle? Did you just put 5 seconds or something?
I did. I think it takes
Good,
about
good.
5 seconds
Yeah,
to create
right.
a first impression. What do you guys
Wonderful.
think?
Yeah, so how long do you think it takes to create a first impression? Put a number in there, whether it's seconds, minutes, hours, days, whatever you think it is. So I see 17 participants in there. I see Sini put minutes. Okay, but how many minutes, Sini? Let's be more specific, because this is a contest for a $10 Amazon gift card straight to your email address. Sini said 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, good. Who else had, Rebecca said 5 seconds for the employer, 15 seconds for the employee. Darla said immediate. All right, come on. We have 4 contestants so far. There is 17 of us on there, so I know some of you are being shy. Melanie said 3 minutes. Oh, we're getting close. Come on, people. I'll give it. Josephina said 5 seconds, like Michelle. So I think you said 5 seconds, right, Michelle, earlier? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's pretty quick.
Okay. Rebecca said 1 minute. Okay. I'm going to close it off right there. Whoever hasn't put it in, you snooze, you lose. You got to be in it to win it. So Georgia said 2 minutes. All right. So if you still want to go ahead and put your answers in there, great. But I'm going to go ahead and announce the actual answer. So studies have shown that it actually takes 7 seconds to make a first impression. So between Michelle and I believe Rebecca, y'all were the closest. No, Josephina. I'm sorry, Josephina and Rebecca, and actually also Michelle. All 3 of you were
Oh, yeah, but
closest.
I don't count.
You don't count. So Josephina and Rebecca. Yay, you guys are the closest. You both win $10 Amazon gift cards. Make sure to put into the chat your email addresses where you want those Amazon gift cards to go to, so that Michelle can make note of that and I can send it all out to you guys. So congratulations, you were the closest. I've had on few occasions somebody who exactly answered the right number on the dot. But even still, 5 seconds is really close. And if you really think about it, it's really not that much time, right? You would think, I mean, logically, that it would take more time, because, when somebody makes a judgment about who you are and everything about you, that it should take more time than that. But as humans, it really doesn't. And when employers take a look at, a resume, sure, they're making judgments. Everybody's resume looks like everybody. But when you actually meet someone in person, right? Unfortunately, it's a very visual world that we live in. About 80 to 90% of everything that we perceive in society comes through our eyesight and our vision. And through that, we make judgments by what we see about a person. Thanks for your email address, Josephina. So would you all agree on that? Yes? Thumbs up in the emoticons and things like that if you agree with me. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you don't agree. Happy faces, frowny faces, whatever you think. All right. But I love to see interaction. The more you interact with me, the more I interact with you. So we're gonna have a good time in the next hour. Um, and if you look at the slide, okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Okay, that's a cute little elephant there that that we have, and it has a little red sunflower in its hair. But let's be honest, society has a preconceived ideas about individuals with special needs. Can we agree on that? Yeah, thumbs up if you
Mm.
agree. Yes, in the chat if you agree or don't agree. And from my own experience, okay, yes, Josephina says yes as well. And go ahead and put into the chat, what do you think some of those preconceived ideas are? What do you think society generally thinks about individuals with disabilities? What are some of their judgments, their preconceived ideas, their misconceptions, and things like that, that make it more difficult for our children, our students, ourselves, if you do have a disability, to get a job and be out in society? They can't perform better. Individuals are with SN are slow. They can't learn or communicate with others. Absolutely, the person is slow, difficult behavior, difficult to train, that they're hard to deal with, right? I love it. Thank you so much for adding such valuable, it's all true. Josephina said they're not worthy in society. Goodness gracious, that is so, so hard, to think that just because you're different, that you're not worthy. You're not worthy of an opportunity. You're not worthy of a chance to show what you are made of. And it's true. Rebecca says that that you can't handle the job, you know, and that if they're already difficult to deal with and they have difficult behavior, like Rebecca says, then they're difficult to train, right? And Erica said that they're slow, right? They can't learn. And then Darla says that they can't communicate with others. All very true. Misconceptions, all very true judgments, which makes it very challenging for our young adults to get past those mental and societal barriers in order to even get their foot in the door and even, get a job, right? Go through the interview process to even get an interview, to be honest with you. So we can't change how people preconceive things in society. Unfortunately, we are doing our best in so many ways with educating people, with being more diverse in our society, and all of these things that we're doing outside as a community, as a world in general. But they're still going to exist, that, right? But what are things that your students and you as a parent or a paraprofessional can do, take control of in your own hands, and teach your child in order to help them overcome those prejudices? That's what I'm here for today. That's what we're going to be talking about. What are tools, tips, tricks, ideas that I can give you that I've been using in my profession as an educator working for Texas workforce and educational school systems throughout the country, in order to empower. And I really want to emphasize on that word, empower. Okay, empower our youth in order to take control of their own lives and give them the independence and the skills in order to navigate the world of work. So next slide, please. I think, we're on struggles. Okay. So first off is in talking about the struggles, it's difficult. Let's just admit, it's always, regardless of what kind of problems it is, it's always going to be difficult to address a problem if you don't know what it is. For those parents and paraprofessionals who have a new student or a young child where you may not recognize those problems, I highly suggest finding and seeking evaluations. Don't be in denial, please. The longer that we as professionals and parents are in denial about, the needs of our children, or things that might not be, they might not reach certain milestones the way that other students and children do. And the more that we're in denial about it, the more we're not going to be able to fully address the issue and help them. I was doing a summer training where I was preparing students for their summer jobs. And there was a mother on there that she was on the webinar and the training for the whole week with her child. And she pulled me aside on a separate note and she said, Chelsea, I've never told my 13-year-old son, no, I'm sorry, not 13. He was at this point 17. She says, I never told him he had a disability. My eyes were like crazy
Right.
wide, right? I was like, oh my goodness, how could he be
Mhm.
17 and you've never told him that he has a disability? His was more intellectual, cognitive learning disability. She just said to him that he was different, which, I understand. And she was trying to really help ease him from feeling like he was less than or different than other children and didn't want him to feel bad in any kind of way. But as I was preparing him and the students for employment, and I was talking to them about self advocacy and speaking up for themselves in the workplace and helping them write their disability statement. Okay, for those of you who don't know what a disability statement is, a disability statement is, verbally writing about a couple of sentences where, your student can, in short, non-medical terms that don't confuse people, that just really directly, clearly and concisely says what type of disability they have. And then the accommodation statement that follows after is what kind of accommodations do they need in order to help them do their job at their best. And I'll give you an example. So, thank you, Rebecca, for that comment. I'll get to that in just a minute. So, in the example, I would say, for instance, a disability statement would be like, the student, whoever their name is, let's say is Chelsea, I am visually impaired and was born with no eyesight, right? Um, you don't have to go into the disease. You don't have to go into the medical confusion of all of that. Just say, I was born without eyesight. You don't have to go into like, da 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 da, bop, bop. It's just too confusing, right? But then I say, in order for me to do my job well, I need use of assistive technology. I need my cell phone in order to read text to me out loud. Or also, if I'm in an environment, I need you to speak to me, and I can, if when I hear your voice, I can turn towards where you are, and I can hear what you need me to do, right? Because they can't see you, right? So it would be helpful not to grab me. It would be helpful not to silently walk behind me and not announce yourself, right? So you have to say these things to let people and educate people about, number one, what is your disability? Number two, what it is that you need as an accommodation to help you do your job, if you're on a job, and then also what's necessary. Now, Rebecca said, when I worked in a high school, over half the parents wanted to shield their kids from the D label. Thank you so much for validating what I just shared with that example with that one parent. And that's half of the parents. Can you imagine? I think if you address whatever it is, you already open up light and shed light on it. And then you address the elephant in the room. Now everybody knows kind of like what to do. So it's a very common problem. That's number one. Next, don't enable an individual with special needs. And that word enable is so tough, right? A lot of us want to do it for them. A lot of parents, a lot of paraprofessionals, we want to do things for them instead of teaching them how to do it for themselves. And why? Why do we do this? Number one, we love them. We care about them. We want them to succeed, right? I'm a parent. I know when you see your little baby toddler, stumbling and falling all over themselves and hurting their knees, you want to naturally pick them up and coddle them and help them. But you know what? If we did that all their lives, they would never build the muscles in their legs or their body in order to push themselves and stand up for themselves. Metaphorically speaking, right? I mean, that's literal, but in the sense of like their disability, right? If they have, social anxieties, if they have learning disabilities, if you're always feeding them the answers, are you really giving them the opportunity to think for themselves? If they have motor fine motor skill, lack of fine motor skills, or can't properly grasp a spoon to feed themselves, but maybe you found a different method to help them feed themselves eventually. There's grips that I've seen out there that are larger grips because they can't like hold too tight, but they can hold bigger things. There's this thing that I saw and I should have brought it, but it looks like an egg, and you put the fork and the spoon into that little Berber egg thing, and they can actually grip the big egg and feed themselves instead of actually trying to hold a tiny thin little, fork. So things like that, right? We do it for them. Why? We love them. We care about them. We don't want to see them struggle. We want to save time. You guys put into the chat, why do we do this? Think of some ideas. Why do parents do this? Why do paraprofessionals do this? And I'll just throw out some that I know off the top of my head. It's easier. We want to avoid conflict. We don't want to struggle. We want to save time. It's like, geez, I might save time. It's easier. Just like Senny said, hit it right on the dot, But in the time that you save in those minutes, days, years that we do this for them, the reality is, and the true harsh reality is, we are stealing from them the opportunity to learn. Okay.
Right, that's exactly right.
hmm So, and then April says, because there are so many struggles every day. Absolutely, April, you are absolutely right. There's so many struggles they're dealing with. We just want to help make their lives easier. We just want to make the day go by a little bit better so they're not sad and crying about why people treat them differently, why people are this way, why somebody might be bullying them or don't understand them. They don't want their kids to depend identified. Rebecca says, don't want to be identified as they ride the short bus and made fun of. Okay, very good. So that's why we do these things. Now, what are some tips and tools that we can really dig into? We know the mentality, we know the reasoning. All right, we understand, and let's just be honest. None of you have to raise your hand if you don't want to, but I'm going to own up to it. I will own up to the fact that I've done that with my kids. And then when I've realized, like, you know what, I really need to step back, stop being a helicopter parent, and let them learn. Now, when I look back at 26 and 24, they live on their own. And my older son got over the cancer and fully independent, and I'm very, very proud of them. Number one, tip and tool, realize that teaching these skills takes time. Everything takes time. You may have sacrificed making it easier and saving yourselves that 30 minutes, that 10 minutes of, go ahead and feeding them first or doing something or giving them the answer first. But over time, in the future, you are giving them the opportunity to learn, and you're going to save yourself time in the future. Because let's just admit, and raise your hand, give me a thumbs up, do you agree that none of us are going to live forever? I wish we could. I wish we could be there for our kids forever for the rest of their lives, but we can't. The reality, thank you, April, for the thumbs up. We can't. And so knowing that, let's set themselves up for success in the future by giving them these opportunities to learn these new skills. Don't enable your child with special needs. Don't enable your students. Offer true consequences. What does that mean? Okay. And Darla says, learn to repeat the same skills over and over. Absolutely. Because as they do it, repetition, muscle memory, skills, they're just going to keep on learning over time how to do it. And the more you step back, the more they're going to learn. And offer true consequences. I don't believe in punishment. When you threat, punish, yell, scream, those things are very negative reinforcements. But instead, I would say reward them, right? There's two choices. Either you clean up your room or you brush your teeth. Let's just admit, a lot of us have kids out there who don't even want to brush their teeth, for heaven's sake. If you brush your teeth, number one, you can go, go outside and play with your friends or whatever that may be. And if you don't brush your teeth, then we're just gonna have to wait here until you do, and you're not gonna get to go outside. Or, whatever it is, your breath is going to smell really bad and your friends aren't going to really want to talk to you. That's the reality of it. Show true consequences of their actions. Guess what? If you choose not to go to school and have bad breath, your friends aren't going to want to talk to you. I'm just going to be very honest, but you got to make that choice. It's your teeth, right? And then eventually they're going to have rotten teeth and it's going to hurt to go to the dentist. Those are true consequences. Sometimes it's difficult to take advice from a parent or a teacher. You know, that's the fourth or fifth bullet on that slide right there. It's true. You can be telling them the same exact thing every single day. Take a shower, do your homework. It's important that you learn to, interact with people, yada, yada. But they don't. So it's hard to hear it from a parent or a teacher that they see every day because of the comfort, because they know you, they know that you love them, and you're not going to do anything you're never going to leave. They are firm knowing that you're there for them. But when somebody like me comes in and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I'm saying the same exact thing that you are, and then boosh, all of a sudden it's like gospel. Oh my gosh, it's so innovative. I can't believe Miss Chelsea said that. That's amazing. And then all of a sudden they start to do it. For some reason, it happens every time. So why am I saying that? Sometimes you just need that little extra help, right? So as a professional, I'm here to help motivate your child. If you ever need anything, you have my information from this, but I'll be more than glad to help. Now, the reason I have the picture of the iceberg in here is because a lot of the times the problem is just on the surface, like the tip of the iceberg, but all the reasons why is underneath. And we really need to see more of it than what it is, right? So that's just the tip of the iceberg. Now let's move on to the next slide.
There you go.
All right. What is the goal? Okay. The goal here, we want to improve your chances for your young adult child to have a fair advantage. And for looking for work, we want to help them make great first impressions and gain meaningful employment. So remember, it's hard because our emotions are involved. It's hard to let our children be independent. Change is hard. Let's admit it. Doesn't matter what kind of change in our lives, change is always hard. And as a grown-up, we also have a need to feel needed. There is something about knowing that your child needs you that makes you feel good. But of course, continuing them to want to always need you and only you, there's some deep-rooted stuff there that I think parents need to work on if they don't want their students to be independent, if they want them to always be codependent on them. And I would say here, seek help for that, because that requires some like counseling. And I admit that I've been there, done that. When my son was going through his cancer and he needed me to help him prepare meals because he couldn't walk on his legs and things like that, I loved being needed. I loved that he needed me. But then when he started getting better, started using crutches, started walking again, and then he started being fully independent, I was like, ouch, that hurts. Now you're leaving and moving back to Austin. You don't need me anymore. So it's very emotional for us as well. But if we love them, truly, truly love them, and think about their future, we need to let them move on and stop being problem solving for them. Okay. There's a lack of awareness of what's going on. Like I said earlier, we're highly emotionally sensitive to what our kids need. And we oftentimes are impulsive and act without thinking about what we're doing. So that's why it's so hard. So where do we start? So I would say this, I don't know, and we don't have the time to get into where everybody's at with all their students and with all their children, right? But let's just start when we're talking about getting ready for job interviews, getting ready for helping them become more independent. And I'm just taking this as a very rudimentary, very, very basic little things to start working with them on. Something that I hear very often with parents and students with their disability, regardless of whether they're, 10 years old or 22 years old. I still hear problems with getting them to brush their own teeth, combing their own hair, bathing and showering for themselves. And that's one of the things and the reasons why there's so much preconceived misconceptions about individuals with disabilities, because oftentimes when they're out there in society, they don't realize that they need to smell good and look good. And they look like they just rolled out of bed. Their hair's a mess. Their clothes are dirty and wrinkled. They might have bad breath because they're not practicing these daily routines for themselves. So I would say, first off, choose 3 routines, very simple, that is individual to your student that you're struggling with. If you're struggling with your child with getting them to brush their teeth on a daily basis, feed themselves, or even taking a shower on a regular basis, okay, let's just pick the first three, and then, go from there. And then you're going to have something like a motivational chart. Again, remember what I said, instead of focusing on, reprimanding them, work on rewarding them. These laminated charts that you can put either check marks on them, you can put stickers, they can interact, put stickers with you, depending on their learning abilities and how would they like to be rewarded. Customize it to reward them in different ways, right? Always use positive reinforcement, and really, instead of saying threats like, well, your dad is going to get mad at you and you're not going to get to go outside and play or whatever, say, you know what, if you don't brush your teeth and you don't brush your hair, your people are going to think badly about you, that you're not clean and you can't take care of yourselves. And then your chances are, people don't want to play with you or like you, and you won't be able to get a job. Because in a job, you're working with other people and they don't want to work with people who smell bad or look bad. Okay. So those are just reality. Now, next is with a thing for you all, please. The slide where it says, this is tough. Can we go to that slide? I see that we're on. Yeah,
you didn't want me to play the video?
Oh, yes, you're right. Okay. So here is a cool little video that I think, it's only 3 minutes. It's a sing-along, really good video that I share with my students all the time. And it talks about grooming and hygiene, and it kind of puts it in a musical, fun way for them to learn. So let's listen to that. And then you guys can also share this link with your kids and show them as well.
Can you see it?
I can.
Great.
Hi, guys. Oh, hi, Gene. No, being named Gene, I hear that a lot.
I can't hear it right now. I don't know if other people can.
Let's go already.
There it is.
Take care of your personal condition. It's not just look and smell. Good hygiene keeps you healthy as well. So many reasons to stay clean. Take care of your personal condition. It's not just look and smell. Good hygiene keeps you healthy as well. People in the place they so fresh. Last thing I can remember that. Not much of
Yes, I can hear it.
One thing you should understand, these two are events with your friends. That's why you get the chance to make sure if you brush your teeth by side down, right back to the again. Time is not them. Listen to my favorite song on question. All my body starts to stand on. Body of make a shift on our back, singing the song, don't have enough blacks. Everybody has different needs. Found things that work for you. Something right for you. You can find your energy. Don't like it. Take all the not just about the not actually about the husband. Take care of the passion. Not just about the husband. Actually, about the husband.
Oh, he's got some moves.
I'm sorry.
He's got some dance moves.
I know, right? So I hope you guys liked that video. I really enjoy it. just because it's fun, easy to dance to. Oh, is it still going?
I'm so sorry. It sounds like it's still going.
Oh, my.
No, it's doing the next video on YouTube. So you just have to stop it. I know it happens to me all the time.
There we go.
So thank you so much, Michelle. So that's the fun thing. And then during the break, I had a question that popped up on the chat, and Kathy wrote, how can you get a 19-year-old who has high functioning autism and an ADHD to take a shower with soap and brush their teeth? So here's an example of what we just talked about earlier, where there are, you know, our youth with disabilities who maybe chronologically, you know, their chronological age would assume that they should have learned these things to do themselves a long time ago, but they're still not doing it, right? So one of the things that I show is to make it a little bit fun, right? Different. Soap sometimes can be very slippery, and not sure about his mobility skills and grip, but at the at stores, you could see these loofahs that they sell, or these like spongy kind of things. And so I'll use, like, instead of actual soap bars, because they could slip and fall, I teach them to use one of those things and pour like shower gels into it, which is scented, letting them choose the scents that they want from and make it fun. Maybe it's a SpongeBob body wash. Maybe it's, something else. Another thing is these long kind of shower cloths. It's not necessarily, might be microfiber or something. And what I did is I use these as part of the supplies when I come and teach in schools, teach online, and I'll ship them to our students. And I purchase it for them, and they get their soap bar, they kind of rub it into it, and make it all nice and sudsy, and then we do this kind of shimmy dance with it, right? Where we're like showing them to use how to back and forth and like wash their back and like rub their body. So we kind of turn on some music and we do this little shimmy kind of dance, and it's really fun, right? So that's just another different way of doing it, where it's not so whatever. There's other things where you actually open them up and then you put the soap bar on the inside, and then that way they the soaps come out and they can use that on their bodies instead of soap slipping and falling all the time. And you can hang in the shower. Now, as for brushing their teeth, something that I found that was really fun and really cool is on Amazon, you can actually purchase these singing timers that are in the shape of teddy bears and monkeys and all kinds of stuff. You press the button on the one ear, then it'll brush their teeth. So it'll go singing music from this little teddy bear or this dog or this monkey for like 2 whole minutes. So they go along brushing their teeth for 2 minutes. And then the other ear or whatever, you press the button and it lights up and it makes like visual lights, and it'll also time it and go make musical and light up sounds for washing their hands. So washing their hands might take 20 seconds, whereas brushing their teeth takes 2 minutes. So it's really cool and fun. I find that our students with disabilities need a little bit more interaction, and so these little tools and things are actually fun. Another thing you can do is use a little timer, like a little egg timer, or those things like either the egg timers or those little hourglasses made of sand that are like plastic, and then you can turn them upside for 2 minutes, and then they can see the sand going down into the hourglass, and that gives them like a 2-minute timer. So those are all fun, but again, positive reinforcement over and over and over again. The more that they do it positively, let's say they do it for a whole week and they brush their teeth and take a shower for a whole week, then what is the reward that they really, really want at the end of that, right? So hopefully that helped. Rebecca, give me a thumbs up if you felt that helped. Or, that was Kathy's question. Now, Rebecca said, depending on your area, some voc rehab counselors will send those with difficult issues or personal or social adjustment training. Sometimes peers in the groups and the counselors will get home. Very good. And again, we are, as a village, right? We all work together to help them, our students, succeed in these types of things. So, So yeah, I think that's really wonderful and helpful. And then, sometimes, getting the parent to, talk to the parents at home. We all need to talk to each other with each other as a whole team. That will guarantee more success. Now, interviewing tips. Here we go. So we talked about the importance of grooming and hygiene, of getting them ready. Okay, that's just the fundamentals, right? But that's also like life skills that they really need to know. So once we take care of those things, then once you do just a few basics, then you keep on elevating that to more and more things. And I would say have conversations with counselors at school. Have your conversations with the people who work with your students at school and at home, and see in communication how they're continuing to progress. So when it comes to interviewing tips, known as helping your student write a resume, we do not have time today in the 1 hour that we have to create resumes and all of that. But there are many of resources online that help do that. There are plenty. I am able to help do those kind of things in my trainings as well. And there's a lot of, things on YouTube that you can watch about that. And even your counselors at the schools can help you with that for your students. Now, clothing and dressing for success. There is a link in here for how to dress for success, which you can watch if you'd like. I'm not going to go into it because we're looking at the clock. It's already 12:46. That's a 5-minute video, so please watch it on your own. But it talks about different types of clothing and attire for, what's appropriate for job interviews. There's casual, business casual, professional, and those type of clothing. So it goes into, how to differentiate that. A lot of the times our students in entry-level jobs, they're going to be like, a cashier at Walmart or Target, or working in a fast food place. They're going to be wearing casual, business casual, which might be like khaki pants and a polo shirt to a job interview or something like that. Okay. Now, as for presentation skills, they really need to have good presentation skills. Not good, but at least when you're talking about presentation skills, going through with your student, not to be rocking back and forth and stemming a lot, right? If you notice that with your student, I know some situations have more of that than others. Some of our students and youth may not have that at all. Having things like eye contact, right? And letting them understand the importance of eye contact and turning towards the interviewer when they are speaking, because that shows that you're paying attention, that shows that you're confident, and that shows that you're really listening and you're focused on the interview in front of you, not looking at their watch, not looking at, their cell phones and texting or anything like that. You'll be surprised, making sure that they understand they need to have their cell phones on vibrate, that, they shouldn't be on them at all. Don't be looking at the clocks and looking all around the room. Look straight at your interviewer. Turn their body towards their interviewer so that they're paying attention to them. For those students who are blind and visually impaired, something that I want to say is a really important interviewing tip is turn towards the sound of the voice, even though you can't see the person, right? So turn your body towards the sound of their voice. Let's see what Rebecca said. Several colleges and universities have a 1-week program for young adults with disabilities, ages 14 to 22, interested in pursuing post-secondary education. They learn self-care, disability. Absolutely. And actually, Rebecca, I've done a lot of those. I've actually been hired and, come to universities to do that, like the Waco project in Waco, and Wichita University and things like that. They have the Level Up program. So those are really, really awesome. Parents, if you can, please put your students into these type of programs. Oftentimes they're totally for free. It's just that you need to talk to your vocational rehab counselors in order to get your students signed up for it. It doesn't come out of your pocket, but it's a huge advantage for your students. And the sooner you can get them into these type of programs, the more they get to repeat it every year after year after year after year. They make friends in these type of places, and they learn the skills and practice the skills that are necessary for getting ready for jobs and being independent. Learning how to shake hands is something that you can easily practice with your student. Oftentimes, putting out their hand. There are, I'll be making some more content soon on my YouTube channel about shaking hands and different types of handshakes, the limp fish versus the hand choker, right? And being too aggressive or too weak can show lack of confidence or aggressiveness. So doing it just right is a really fun activity that I do in my trainings in person, but also you can also do with your student as well on a daily basis, and just give them that constant feedback and evaluation. How would you introduce yourself? How would you say hello? How would you make eye contact? Practice these things on your time, or if you know that that's happening in your school with your teachers, make sure that you understand, like, how are they doing? Get the feedback from their teachers, like, well, how's it going? Now let's play really quick the step-by-step little link right there for my YouTube channel. There, it says how to tie a tie, step by step.
I see
It's
it.
that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I pull up the right video for you.
Gotcha.
Um,
Not the monster
it is
one.
a little
Yeah.
tying a tie. Here we go.
There we go. So this is my YouTube channel, and I do a lot of fun videos that kind of give you and empower your students to kind of watch and learn. And now this was made.
My name is Nguyen with CM Vision Image Consulting, and today I'm going to teach you how to tie a tie. All right, but before we begin, how do you know which tie to select? So there's so many different ties out there with lots of different colors, patterns, fabrics, and styles, from narrow to wide. You even have some that are skinny ties and bow ties. But today, for purposes of teaching you how to tie a tie quickly and easily, we're going to use the CNBI tie. But before we do, I want to show you how to orientate and get to know your tie. So first off, go ahead and put the tie around your neck just like I have, and make sure that the seam side is facing down. Okay, you're going to put it around your collar. And here I have my button opened, but if you want to go ahead and close it, you can, or leave it open, whichever you prefer. So then what we're going to do is, you can see that there's a wide side and then there's a narrow side. And when you put them next to each other, you have wide and narrow. Okay, so I have my narrow side on my right hand, my wide side on my left hand. This is going to be the back piece of seam. And then you also have your tie loop, which is going to secure it later. And then you also have the front of your tie, which is nice and smooth. We have our tie around our neck. The seam side is facing towards our body, and the smooth side, which is the top of the tie, is facing out. So you should run your fingers through and feel that. Now you want to go ahead and pull the wide end down on your left side, so that automatically pulls your narrow end up. That should bring the bottom tip of your narrow end at about your rib cage area, right underneath your breast for the young lady. Then you're going to move your hands up, having a sling on your thumbs, and cross the wide end over the narrow end, and right where they meet and create this letter X that you see, you're going to secure that section and pinch it with your thumb in the back, with your left thumb in the back, and your middle and your index finger holding the front side. So this is what it should look like. Your right hand should be free. So you should be able to wave at me. And with that right hand, you're going to go ahead and grab the bottom of your wide end all the way straight out. And what you're going to do is pull that towards you and go through all the way to your left elbow. Make sure that the seam back side of the tie is facing away from you. Then you're going to drop it down and let it lay there. And then release and pull your right hand out. Now you should be able to wave at me again. Okay, that's free. Your left hand is still securing where that X is. Okay, so don't move that. Next,
Okay,
your right
let's
hand
go ahead and stop it there, Michelle.
is reaching over in front of you, grabbing that wide end. And
There we go.
pull it across those fingers.
And it's still playing in the background.
And it should be
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get it to stop.
It's okay.
So,
Thank you. All right. Now it goes, thank you for the comment so far, Sini and Rebecca, about you enjoyed the tutorial. I really think this is the way that I teach. I teach very, I use a lot of detail, a lot of verbiage, because I'm teaching my students who are totally blind to listen to the video if they cannot watch it. But also for those who are visual, they can see what's on the screen. So I've created in such a way that it's totally descriptive for students of all abilities. And as time goes on, I'll be working with my team to create more educational tutorials like this in order for you all to use as free resources to share in your classrooms with your students to help them prepare for job interviews and such. So keep an eye out for that. Like it, follow it if you enjoy the content. Let me know what it is that y'all in your classrooms feel like you need, and we'll keep going from there. So tying a tie is one thing that's important. Handshakes, continue to follow that and do that with your students. And just like I think somebody in the chat wrote that they do that with their students every morning, introducing, Darla says she introduces herself every morning to her son and shake hands. So it's training for him. I love that. Michelle said that's a great idea as well. We think that's a wonderful thing to do. Now, last slide. Always from a job interview, follow up with a thank you letter. If they're able to write a handwritten thank you letter, great. I think that is such a nice touch. But if you can't write a thank you letter, at least write a thank you email the day of your interview to thank your interviewer and follow up with them within a week or so. Now, I believe that's the end of my presentation for the most part. We're at our last 4 minutes. Is that right, Michelle?
yeah, thank you. So here's all of your contact information. Again, you will receive these slides, those links. You're going to be able to follow and go back and watch those videos. So I have a couple more slides. If you have more questions, please put them in the chat box. We'll come back to Chelsea to finish up those questions as we wrap up the webinar today. So we do offer these webinars 2, 3, sometimes more times a week on all different topics that are very helpful for parents with special needs loved ones, things that you need to be thinking about and keeping on your radar. We're here to educate and to advocate for you. So things like the future cost of care, Texas waiver programs, and other programs like SSI and SSDI, Medicaid, Medicare, things that are out there available to help your child for the rest of their lives. ABLE accounts, how to designate beneficiaries on your accounts to make sure that you don't jeopardize the benefits that they deserve from the government. We help families with special needs trusts by referring attorneys to set those up. We've done webinars about different living communities, residential, vocational options, educational options, considering guardianship and things like that, and high school educational option, beyond high school, what's going to happen then. This slide here will take you straight to our upcoming events. All of the webinars that we've got scheduled are listed on our website, and you can check the events tab just by clicking right here where it says upcoming webinars. This is our team. We are an independent financial consulting firm located just outside of Houston. We can serve families all across the United States, but we're truly a small independent firm. And then finally, we offer everybody a free consultation. We want to make sure that your questions get answered. If you have any follow-up questions for Chelsea, of course, her contact information is going to be included in the email that we send you when we're finished today. But our consultations usually take between 30 to 45 minutes. We want to answer any remaining questions that you have, learn a little bit about you and your family and your circumstances, and then we tell you how we work and what we charge, things like that, and if it would be a good idea for us to go forward together. So we do have our social media links for you here, the YouTube channel where all of our webinars live after we present them, our Instagram, our podcast, and the Facebook page. And again, if you're listening on our podcast, you can email us contact@cpgcares.net, and we will send you the slides from today's webinar. Okay, so I know we do have a couple more questions, and Chelsea, if you want to wrap up and
Yeah.
just take a couple of moments to get through those.
Great. So the first one I have is from Mary Clark that says, how about shaving tips? I've got so many great shaving tips. I teach in the trainings how to use electric shavers as well as shavers that are just disposable. And something that I could just really quickly say is try in your classrooms inflating a balloon and using shaving foam in your classrooms and putting shaving foam on the balloon, and then giving your students the actual razors, but don't remove the plastic cover on the razors, because we don't want anybody getting cut on and hurt in the demos and in the trials. And then you use them and teach them the techniques of actually shaving the shaving foam off of the balloon. It's a really fun, interactive, cool thing that I tend to do in my classes. A really quick tidbit of thing that you can actually take back to your classrooms or even do with your students. Okay. Never go teaching them, don't go against the grain of the hair, just go down with the hair, because you don't want to go up against it, because that will cause ingrown hairs. The second one is a question from Josephina. Should a disability be disclosed during an interview, or should a person with special needs wait? That is going to be a personal call. I personally feel that a disability should be disclosed during the interview, because if there are needs and accommodations that are needed, you need to actually disclose the accommodation needs before you actually start the job. Not start a job and then say, oh, by the way, I need assistive technology to help me read the screen because I'm blind and I can't see. So that's me. And I know that for sure, I've heard that you can't ask for accommodations. You can, but it's really important to ask for accommodations before a job, you start the actual job. Somebody else can maybe have a different school of thought on that. The third thing is, Rebecca said, great info. Thank you very much. And Darla says, awesome information. So I think that was all of the questions I had. So if there's no other further questions, please feel free to email me. Thank you to Consolidated Consulting for inviting me here today. It's been an honor and a pleasure. I look forward to hearing from you all and working with your students if you'd like. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you again. And thank you everybody for joining us today. You will be hearing from us. Like I said, you'll receive a email. We will also reach out to make sure all of your questions were answered today. I hope you have a fantastic week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.